What's going on, y'all? Thanks for clicking on this video. We talking about why my Spiders are absolutely going to the tournament. Shouldn't be any questions asked about it, man. So we're going to get right into that. Before we do, I wanted to show y'all something that I got called the coconut stick. It's the latest chapstick out on the market, man. It's tearing it up. I'll put a link in the bio so you guys can check it out. But let's go get on into this, man. I'm trying to let the world know that my Spiders are doing big things, and we absolutely going to the big dance. So let's get it.
The Richmond Spiders should absolutely make the tournament this season. I honestly can't believe it's much of a question when you really look at all the information. But I guess I can't say I'm surprised. Anyone watching this, you've been watching the Spiders, you know that sometimes you'll be watching the broadcast and you can't blame them. There's so many college teams, but the guy calling the game doesn't know anything about the team other than the stats that are in front of him, and maybe he watched the game from last year or something like that, the last time the Spiders came and played that team. But with that, you see a lot of this information going around, and people just, I don't know if it's because of the name brand of Richmond, they don't really know it, but I can promise you this, if Davidson or VCU or some of these other teams with, I guess, a little more clout had done what the Spiders done this season, they may damn near be ranked in the top 25. So I'm not going to let this shit slide. I'm going to be talking about why the Spiders should absolutely be in this year. First one is just pretty obvious right in front of your face, and that's just their record. They're 24-7 in a great Atlantic 10 conference, as strong as it's been in a while. The number one team in the conference is Dayton, who's the number 3 team overall. We're the second in the conference, and I just don't know where they're going to be able to do that and hold us back in that way. I know since Jacob's been on the team, I think the A-10's at least had 2 or 3 teams each and every year. And when you look at how strong the conference is, why would this be the year that only one team gets in? Especially, again, when we have a powerhouse team at the top of it. Just doesn't make any sense there. 24-7 also with Blake Francis. He had an injury. We had to play 2 of our toughest games without him, our leading scorer. That's tough to overcome. The Dayton game, we only lost that game by 8 points. I went back and checked. We were down 8 at halftime, and the second half was an even game. I think both teams scored 40 points, and that was without our leading scorer. Then the first VCU game was without our leading scorer too, or we would have busted them up again. So, if you just strictly look at their record, I don't know the A-10 conference over a long period of years, but I can't imagine there's been a team that finished second in the conference, had a 24-7 record, and didn't get in the tournament. All right, so that one was easy. This next one, I don't think a lot of people were as educated on, and it's a big indicator of just how good this team is amongst the rest of the teams across the nation. And that is the fact that the Spiders are in the top 50 in 6 major categories statistically, starting with field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, assists, steals, and turnovers. Like few turnovers. And they rank in the top 50 in all those categories, which is great. That shows, again, how talented our team is. Their guys are playing good basketball. We're looking at things like field goal percentage, assists. That's just a sign of a really good team that's together. 3-point percentage and free throw percentage show, obviously, that's a great shooting team. These are things that can lead to upsets in the tournament. 3-point shooting. Again, being able to take care of the ball. Again, just playing effective, efficient style of basketball is always a brand that's going to be able to travel. It's going to give you a chance to beat any team on any given day, because if they're not at their best, you have your team to show the steadiness and the consistency to be able to match up even against the big dogs. This third one is a little different. Now, hear me out. I've been following sports for a long time, so I know all about how the media and all these, especially for things like March Madness, they love the story, they love the narrative, they love something that they can push. And there's one story that's really developing that Richmond does a good job promoting it in terms of their school, but I think we need to point at it more and just on a national scale in the history of college basketball, and that's Jacob Gilyard's steals. He just had 6 in their last game, and if you really look at the numbers, he has a chance to be the all-time leader in steals in college basketball history. And I think that's a story that, the networks and March Madness would run with every time Richmond plays a game. Hey, here's a guy that's leading the nation in steals, and if you look at the numbers, he really has a realistic chance of breaking the all-time record, especially if they let them in the tournament. He can get another game or more games under his belt, and then next year, coming off the same thing, we get in this year, it helps us get in for next year. And I think that just the story of someone being able to break a national record like that, that's something that, again, that's not necessarily, what you would necessarily want to be a reason for a team to get in. I understand that, but they do this stuff all the time. I mean, where they're trying to push certain stories and get things out there, and they'll choose a team because there's a certain narrative built. I think that, you know, that's absolutely like a justifiable story, and something that should give Richmond a nudge if there even was a, you know, some kind of tiebreaker. But again, the point of my video is try to point to you guys that this shouldn't even be close. The Spiders should be they should be much closer to a ranked team than last four out. Like, that's for damn sure. Another thing I wanted to bring up, because some dummy on Twitter, you know, asking, you know, who has Richmond beaten? It's like, well, we finished second in the A10, a great conference. Like we mentioned earlier, the Dayton game was an 8-point game, and we were without our leading scorer. But we beat VCU, who again was ranked at one point. We smacked them up, and I saw this little breakdown, like the quads and trying to rank our victories, and this is how flawed that thing is, because when we beat VCU, they were a quad 2 win, but when they beat us, that was a quad 1 matchup. And the only justification I can even think about that is, you know, when we beat VCU, they were without their point guard, and so maybe to the system that doesn't qualify them as a quad 1 because they were not with their point guard. But then when they beat us, we were without Blake Francis, our leading scorer. So why was that? You know, like that doesn't make sense for me. Like, both teams won without one of their. They should be seen the same in my eyes. But even with that, we've beaten teams like Wisconsin. Our out of conference schedule was very strong, especially compared to the last couple seasons. And we beat a lot of those teams. What was it? Vanderbilt, Boston College. I mean, we beat a lot of Power 5 conference schools. So you can't sleep on the schedule at all. Again, and especially the A10 conference. The A10's a great conference, and we handled everybody. We had some unfortunate losses, but we secured our spot as the second team in the conference this year, and we're gonna play well in the tournament too. And the last thing is just, I think that our team is just really still being slept on, like as far as just the players that we have on the roster. You know, there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, the last couple of years, Richmond had struggled, and people weren't really seeing how much better this team was going to be coming into the season. And it sucks that like all that preseason stuff ends up mattering to a certain extent, and just what people believe about a team. But I look, someone like Nick Sherrod, who was hurt for us last year, came back off an ACL and is the same Nick and is performing better. Nick's, I think he's like in the top 10 3-point percentage in the nation right now. Blake Francis was a transfer. You know, people didn't know how he was going to play with us and hadn't seen him ever play for Richmond. He's our leading scorer at almost 18 points a game. And again, he also missed some of our biggest marquee games of the season. Obviously, I just talked about Jacob earlier, one of the best point guards in the nation. Grant Golden, one of the best bigs in the nation. Just a guy that can pass and just a dominant player in the post. I mean, he's extremely skilled and has been playing his best basketball over the last month and a half. I mean, Grant's been balling, man. KO as well. KO is super talented. You know, he's a guy that if we were in a situation where we needed some more scoring or some guys were down, KO could absolutely step up and be more of a scorer. But he can do everything. He can defend. He at different spots on the floor. Again, but that's just someone that people aren't as caught up on. And this team overall just has a bunch of talented guys, even off the bench. You know, Burton and Gustafson, those guys can make huge plays in an NCAA tournament environment. I mean, you can already see Gustafson in this defense, Tyler flying around, you know, deflections and getting his hands on the ball. I mean, our team is really good and can match up with anybody, and I just don't think that should be underlooked. I don't think that the Spiders, there's any chance anyone's going to be able to look at all the information and try to deny the Spiders of being in the tournament. Again, the record, where they rank in all these statistical categories amongst all the teams in the NCAA. I mean, those are major categories when you're talking about field goal percentages and assists and free throws and steals. Like, that stuff is very important. I'm very confident this team's going to get in. I was seeing, you know, maybe a week ago that some people were having them their first 4 out. I was like, all right, that guy's clearly not paying attention. So I had to make some kind of video to point out the reasons why they should get in and why they would make also a good story for the tournament. Be sure you guys like this video for me and share it with all the Spiders fans. The bigger this video gets, you know, the better the chances are going to be for the Spiders, you know, in some kind of way. So thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys again for watching this video. Once again, I want to remind you to like this video, leave a comment, share with other Spiders fans, basketball fans. The bigger this video gets, the better the Spiders' chances, and the more that people are recognizing what great things we have going on and how great our team is. So make sure you share, like, comment, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new. Thank you.